One of these gentlemen up here, this guy, the most handsome one up there on the bottom left side, is going to come and share his experience as a lead. Now, he is so dang good that Dell said, hey, I need you to come inside and teach the next generation how to do this. And we are members, but all of us are mentors too, and we still operate. Are there any of his investors in the room on his Corpus Christi deal? Look at those. If you're happy with that deal, keep your hand out. Did you get some money back? Let's see those returns, okay? Robert, come on up here. We're happy to have you. Give him a hand.
Are you going to interview me?
Am I going to interview you?
Yeah.
I'd like to if you'll let me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us, who are you?
So I'm going to tell you just
Even though you're running the clicker. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's. Oh, you know what? Should you hear the clicker?
I'll run the clicker.
Okay?
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
you
run
got the clicker.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I'm wrestling for.
All right. There you go. So my name's Robert Hale. I'm one of your multifamily mentors, and
Is your family here tonight?
they're not.
Oh,
No, yeah.
man.
And so, but they're right there. You can see them there. And so this presentation is a little different because normally we have just a member that we've helped. This project that we're going to present here is a project that we had that's a true 3-year cycle, something that we can kind of show you that it was a fun project and something that was successful because I also follow the map that Dell gives me, right? So we are, as mentors, are able to help you guys walk through that map, but we practice what we preach, and here's a good example of how that can help you to be successful as well. So, me, 20 years in oil and gas business. I was an engineer, project manager, corporate manager, kind of got tired of the corporate politics, found lifestyles just like a lot of members on the radio, and heard about the passive income and whatnot, and we came and joined. My wife, Amber, she is our homeschool teacher. We homeschool, I should say she homeschools our two boys. We got 2 boys. One is Eagle Scout. He just graduated here last year, and we got another boy that's 15, and she has her hands full with that by far. We're leads on two properties actively. We've had 4 properties that we've led on, and over 40 passive deals that we've done there.
Now explain what a lead does for the new folks.
Yeah, so Joe was talking about how his experience with passive investing has been quite pleasant. Okay, so you got a passive investor. A passive investor is someone who contributes capital to a project. A lead investor is someone who goes out and finds the project. They're responsible for the business part of it, and then we are liable to Joe to make sure that he gets his ACH on a quarterly basis. But the lead investor is basically the person that goes out, finds the property, gets the investors, runs the business, and then provides that capital back to the passive investors.
So there are those that are willing to work, Robert, right? And those that are willing to let them. The happy guy in the back, right? Yeah. All right, very cool. And you've got 2 active deals right now?
Yeah.
And you've done 4, so you've already divested 2.
That's correct, right.
All right.
And this is one that we just divested.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Where was the first one?
The first one was in San Antonio, so
Okay.
we had one here. It was a 48-unit near the Alamo Dome. It was a pretty decent project as well. We had that for about 4 years, and then we bought a property down in Kingsville. And after the property in Kingsville, we were retired from our corporate job as an oil and gas engineer. And this is the 3rd property that we bought.
Okay, this is number 3.
So this is number 3, but the second one to sell.
All right, cool. Now, before we get into it, what brought you into lifestyles?
Perfect. So, like I mentioned, I was in oil and gas business. Oil and gas is cyclic. I loved oil and gas, and I still love the industry. It's a very unique industry. It was a lot of fun. As you climb that corporate ladder, you kind of get a little bit different levels. Like I enjoyed working out in the field. I enjoyed having my own tools and fixing problems and working with the teams and all that kind of good stuff. And they see that you do that, and they're like, hey, why don't you manage some people? And hey, why don't you manage some projects? And now why don't you manage some people that are managing projects? And you kind of work your way up. And it's a great experience, but at a certain point, there's a lot of political, I shouldn't say a lot of political, there's some political conflict that happens there, and it's just not as fun of an environment, right? You're out solving problems, you enjoy doing that, and now, you see your friends that are kind of, that you grew up with, and they're struggling over problems, kind of fighting each other, and it's like, hey man, we were friends here, 3 months ago, what happened? So it just wasn't as fun. And so I heard a guy on the radio, he was talking about passive investing. I think I put on here the death draw. The only thing I knew about retiring was 401k and IRA, right? And so hopefully you built up a big enough pile of cash so that when you stopped working, you would die before that cash went away. So you had the death draw there. And he was talking about passive income, how you can retire and still have your money making money and you really don't draw that down. And I thought that was a crazy idea, but we came to the 2-day and learned about how it works. And you go to the case studies and you see how these people are successful. And that's what really sparked our interest. Also, the fact that I didn't know how to do it because my real estate experience was zero. I moved around whenever the company told me to move around. So they would actually kind of buy and sell my house, and I would just live in it until the next assignment. Lifestyles has mentors and people that will answer your questions. They'll answer your calls, and they'll help you to kind of work through the process. And I thought, well, heck, man, if these guys can teach it, I can learn it. I just have to listen to what they're saying. And I think that's what helped me to be a little bit more successful or be successful, because I was willing to take in the knowledge they had, not being the smartest guy in the room, but listening to the smartest guy in the room, which probably is not me now for sure. Listen to, at that time, the smartest guy in the room.
Now you're the smartest
guy. And
guy
following
in the
his
room.
advice, right? So all I had to do was listen to him, do what he said, and we've had several successful projects, and this is going to be a fun one here. Right. So this one was called Driftwood Apartments. We bought it during COVID, so it was 2020. The property was super old, 1945. So I say super old. I mean, it's not 1800s.
Careful, you might offend some people.
Yeah. But 1945 build, 102 units. We bought it for about $22,000 a door, which is a really good price. But you're going to see it didn't look like this whenever we bought it. Yeah, you were there.
It was fully occupied too, right?
Negative. No. When we walked the property, initially it was 17 out of 102 units were occupied, and when we took it over, there were 11 people that lived there. So it was certainly not occupied.
Sounds a little scary, right?
Yeah.
Has anybody taken my seminar before? You've heard me talk about this property. This is how cool this property is. So I'm actually pretty excited to see the
transformation. And it would be scary, except that I've seen people that follow the map, and they did it. And I'm like, well, if you can do it, I can do it too.
Right?
And so
you see some of the people that get up here, and you're like, I'm smarter than that guy, right? Right?
So,
all right. So cash out of pocket was $1.2 million.
$1.2 million bucks. That's all
and
we
you
raised.
just plunked that down out of your own pocket.
Negative. No.
All right, no.
We had 12 investors. Investors anywhere from $400,000 down to $25,000.
Okay.
We had new guys, so we kept a little spot for people that had not invested before with us. And so we were to bring new people in at $25,000 for their first experience, and I feel like this was probably a pretty decent first experience. And then we had guys that had invested with us before, and so anywhere from 25 to 400. So
very cool. So if you think back to Ivan's case study, he was $22,900 out of pocket, and he had to work, right? And he had to coordinate all sorts of things. Well, if he'd known Robert, he could have just gotten in the deal and gave him the money and let him go to work for him. Right? That's the joy of being a passive investor, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so you had $2 million in rehab budget.
Right.
And you had a pretty good interest rate back then.
Yeah, we bought it in 2020. It was we closed October 29th. That was my birthday. So
you were deep in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
Didn't that scare the crap out of you?
No, not really. No. Yeah.
No,
we were already renting properties. Yeah, we were already renting properties during COVID and whatnot, and
didn't have anybody living there anyway. So.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Wasn't a lot of exposure.
Yeah. What's scary about this?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right.
So these are the numbers that at the end of the project as to what it was doing, and these will get rolled into the actual return. So whenever we closed the project down, and it was Good Friday of this year, we were making about $93,000 a month in income. Our expenses were about $47,000. Monthly cash flow was $9,000, so that's after mortgage, interest, all that kind of good stuff, any capital that we were putting back in the project, for a monthly NOI of $46,000.
Now, NOI stands for net operating income. All right, so that's the number that real estate investors protect like their kids. So if that was an NFL player, it would be Patrick Mahomes. Like nobody can touch that guy, right? Okay.
That's right. So our average cash-on-cash return was about 35%, and the valuation at a 9 cap. And so you're going to teach people about cap rates and all that kind of good stuff. We bought this thing in 2020, and 2020 was still kind of it was getting to where the market was still getting a little bit frothy, right? And we sold it in 2023, and we all know that 2023, with interest rates going up, values are going down. So we bought it at kind of medium high. Of course, the property wasn't in great shape, so we got a good deal. And then we sold it kind of a low point in the market, and you'll be able to see the returns of that still. So the 9 cap is typically not a return that you would see in an evaluation, but it is for this one. I want to make a point here. So we went through several phases of this project. You got to rebuild it, you got to move people in, and then you get to a point that you're building back that community. And I don't know if there was somebody here earlier, Jody, you were talking about community maybe, or maybe you were. Everybody talks about it, but that's one of the things that makes it successful, makes a project successful, is when you can provide somebody a service and they appreciate being there, and you build that community. You're not just there to raise rents and be the evil landlord. you're building a community that people want to live in, and so that's what helps lets people, they want to renew, they want to stay, they appreciate what you're doing. And so if you can see there, the pictures there are something that we had a manager that really helped us out down on that property. When she took over, occupancies, it jumped and stayed high, and that was part of what she would do. She'd have food trucks, she'd have Santa events, things like that would really kind of bring everybody together, and it helped make this a successful
You treated the people
property.
like people.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
as you
gave
should.
what they wanted, right?
Yeah, as you should.
Yeah.
All right, so some befores and afters. So whenever we bought it, like I said, 11% occupied. Most of the buildings were boarded up, and we had some buildings that had trees growing out of them, some significant water damage and things like that. So you can see we took out the trees, we fixed the landscape, we re-roofed all of the property, redid the paint, fixed all of the wood. It was 40 total buildings.
40 total buildings. You put 40 brand new roofs on.
38. We did 38.
Oh, okay.
In the first month, we did. So the first month, it was very active. I mean, we got the.
I can imagine.
We got the roofs done. We got the roofs done that first month. We got the exterior wood rot done, the painting done, all the landscape done. Had the exteriors looking much better than they were before.
And why did you do the exterior first?
Because I wanted people to see that something was happening on the property, right? So and there was so much activity. I really didn't want to move people in whenever a tree guy was going to be coming and cutting a tree right by their unit. So
makes sense, right?
Yeah, just go ahead and knock it all out so it looks like you're improving the property. You're catching interest. People are seeing something's happening in the community, and so they're going to naturally come by and see, hey, what's going on here? And it gives you an opportunity to get
I think
drive-by traffic.
most people can see that one property they drive by all the time, and it's a complete dump. So if somebody came in and bought that, what's the first thing they should do? Fix the exterior, because all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what happened there, right? Maybe I want to check that place out. There's a huge capital infusion going into it. Now, did you find anything cool on the insides? Because, I mean, well, let's not get the inside side. You've got, so there's some more pictures. I mean, this place was way overgrown. Who owned it before? Do you know?
It was some international investors. Yeah.
Okay.
They had it, and
they obviously took their eye off the ball.
Well, they didn't live in the U.S. They had a company that was out of California that was actually running it. So
Californians.
Yeah.
The Californians.
Which helped us get a good deal, There's a lot more to the story than we can show on these pictures. There was a ton of stuff that we found out there. We had full-grown banana trees that were growing right, at the building. We had trees growing out of the building. We had one unit was like an old club. Somebody made it into a club where they had a bar set up, and they had a fireman pole in it with with mirrors and
everywhere,
silhouettes.
right? Glass all around. Right?
Yeah. Some other stories that I could tell you, but I'm not going to tell you on this one.
What'd you find in that pile of rubble right there? You've got a pretty good story about that, right?
Which one is that? Oh, we found a prosthetic leg. It might be in there, actually.
Not even.
No, we did. No, we got a prosthetic leg. We got a bunch of, there was a bunch of stuff we found in that place.
You could have made a lamp out of it.
That would have been good.
I remember the first time he told us that story, and he stopped and he said, how'd that guy get away? But the things you can find in these places is sometimes ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, and they were loaded up. I mean, it was like, people just left. That was everything they had. They just left it there and started a new life somewhere else. So
totally night and day. So we got a new stove in there, right?
We made it clean and functional, right? So this particular market wasn't like
that
a place.
Looks more than clean and functional. I mean,
I appreciate
pretty.
that, and I think the residents did as well. Yeah. But we just cleaned it up. We put new flooring in if needed. A lot of these units had the peel and stick 12 by 12 tile, and you peel it up, and there'd be hardwood floor underneath it. Yeah. And so we just got a sander, and we sanded it up and polished it up, and it looked beautiful. And we'd repaint, resurface as needed, new appliances as needed, and then we put mini splits in instead of window units. And that's most of what we did. It was a lot of cosmetic. It looks a lot worse than it is, and a lot of times it is. Yeah. A lot of times it looks a lot worse than it is, because if you don't know, and you think things are going to fall apart, when it's really a little bit of structural, but mainly cosmetic, and you can make a
Did you get rid of all those skylights up there?
What does it change, hood to good? Is that what it is? Good to good. Yeah.
Good to good, huh?
Oh, yeah, there were some natural skylights, for sure.
Yeah, you actually see daylight right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see, next slide.
Natural shower down there, too. Right?
Yeah. There's the guys working on the roofs. So like I said, in a month, they had 38 roofs replaced, a ton of trees and shrubs taken out, a lot of work happened that first month. The next month we started bringing in contract crews, and we had 10 contract crews working on interior make-readies, during that time. So the first 3 months were super active.
I think it's actually cool you put this picture up here of the driveways and the concrete, because there's no real benefit to you as the owner, right? But people expect to have that. It's kind of like a roof, right? You got to provide it, but it also makes the property pop. And then on the bottom pictures here, what is it you're highlighting there?
Yeah. So if you only got 11 people living there, you don't know if anybody's living there at all. There's no lighting.
They're living there for a reason.
Yeah, that's right. We got another story about that, but we'll keep that one for later too. So yeah, there's no lighting on there, and so we went in and put exterior lights on everything. And actually, the Caldwells did me a favor. Their leads out of Corpus, I don't know if they're still here or not. They were driving by, and that's actually their picture there, and they were telling me, "Hey, this place looks a lot better." They used to have a property down the road from there, so every now and then they drive it. But yeah, you can see it's night, and then it's night with a little bit of day on it.
Yeah.
It's much brighter, much cleaner, and more welcoming to people that you would want to be living in your community.
Yeah, and what do you get rid of when you turn the lights on?
Everything that's bad.
Right, all the roaches scatter, right?
Yeah.
Not that you had many living there. I'm sure.
No. Initially we only had 11 people living there, so
right.
Wasn't a lot of food for the roaches. So we got a lot of work done those first 3 months, and then we got into Snowvid, and Snowvid ended up just kind of kicking us in the rump there.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah. It was February. Yeah, it was the 1st of February.
I was right at the beginning of the month.
And a week before that, I was hiking with some scouts. We were training to go to Philmont, and I broke my leg. Yeah, so we got leg break, and then Snowvid hit.
That's where that prosthetic leg came
I probably needed it. Yeah.
That was your prosthetic leg.
Could have put it in there. Yeah. So some unplanned rehab. So I mentioned we had 10 contract crews that were working on interior upgrades, and so we had about 50 plus of the 80 one-bedroom units that were ready to just do the final trim work, get the meters, pull the permits, get the meters on, that kind of good stuff. And we had drained the units, but apparently some of the units still had water that were in them. Yeah. And so as we went to go turn everything back on, we'd get a building, we'd get a little drip, and so we're cutting out sheetrock, fixing a leak, and then it's dripping somewhere else, and it's dripping somewhere else, and we ended up having to rip out all of the kitchens and bathrooms and hot water heater closets and replumbing the whole building, all of them, and it wasn't planned. But when you buy it at that price, you can still be able to do that. So you'll see that on the right-hand side is what it looks like whenever we bought it. In the middle, thank you. In the middle is 3 months after. That's getting ready for final make ready, and then that's what it looked like when we had to rip everything back out that we had just done and kind of start over. And it's not really starting over; it's starting backwards. So. It was a lot of time delay, a lot of cost. And the other thing is it's an income delay, because now instead of you got a unit that's almost ready to rent, ready to start bringing some income in, Snowvid hits, the plumbers are making it rain, they're not coming out to my unit, so it takes a little bit of time to be able to get to rebound from that. So, right. Fun times.
Right, super fun times. But hey, it didn't get you down.
No.
So let's go over your numbers.
No, the broken leg got me down, but we got back up after that.
I have a question online.
We'll take it in just a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we got year one right here.
Yes.
Walk us through what happened.
So this is a true year 1, 2, and 3, and we sold it just after 3 years. So year one, you can see, income was not much there. We were able to get some of the units that we had fixed and rented, but not a lot. Just didn't have a lot of income that first year. Right. A lot more operating expenses, obviously, so we had a negative NOI. This was a value play. We brought capital to the project to be able to work through that, so we were in fine shape there.
So negative cash flow didn't scare you because you had
it was planned
from the beginning.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. We brought in excess capital to help us to work through until we were able to get the units online.
So when we talk about those deep value plays, sometimes they don't pay out. Sometimes you're paying in, but he was so smart. He planned for it.
Well, listen to my mentor. My mentor told me to bring extra capital.
That's good.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saved your butt too, right?
It did.
Yeah,
I was thinking, man, I don't need to bring this much money in, but whenever you got to start over and start backwards, I'm glad we had it. So
right.
It was definitely good. Year two,
your income went up by 150%.
Yeah, we started getting it a little more full. We weren't, probably 60% full or so by year two, and then we were maybe it was I think we're in the 70s there, And then that's whenever in 2021 is whenever the interest rates started really kind of ticking up, right? And so, and that was actually summer of 2022. We were able to talk to our banker, get a refi, and do a cash out refi, so it got everybody their money back during that second year. So year 3 is whenever we sold the unit, and so if you want to look at the next slide.
Well, yeah, but let's take a look at this just income right here. You went from 193 to 507. It's a
Yeah, that's
is that 250? That's 150% gain, and then you doubled it again.
yes, that's full.
Boy, how did that feel?
Wonderful. Yeah. Oh, it really did. There were some stressful times in that, whenever you feel like the project is just going great and then you get kicked in the tail and you got to go start over again. It's a little stressful, but we were able to, like I said, we brought extra capital to the project, so we were conservative with our numbers, able to work through that, and then, the payout ended up being pretty decent, so.
All right. Now, do you want to talk about that capital event in year 2, or do you want to save that for next?
That was the refi. So that was about 20 months in. We were working with the bank.
You already had debt on it. You bought it
Yeah,
with
we
debt.
bought it. Yes, we bought it. It was 4.25% interest rate, and it was in the summer of 2022. I think it was May when I called him, and I was talking about, hey, where do we need to be on occupancy in order to get this refi going? Because I know we wasn't going to go agency at that point because we had the delay from the freeze.
Right.
And he said, hey, you probably want to get your app in pretty quick because rates are going up, and so that within a couple days we
You did it right then.
we did it right then.
Now, what was the total cash out of pocket to buy it?
1.2.
And you returned within 2 years 1.4.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I don't think anybody was complaining about it.
So everybody got all their money back plus.
Yeah, and a mug. Did we give out mugs then? Yeah.
A bug?
A mug, yeah.
A mug.
A tumbler.
Oh,
a tumbler.
A mug.
Yeah, I got a
tumbler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep all the coffee hot. Yeah.
All right, cool. And then year 3, you kept the property. So
Right.
year 3 is when you sold it.
That's right.
All
Yeah.
right, so walk us through the sale.
So the sale of the property was in 2023. We put it on the market. We put it on the market in 2024. We put it on the market into 2023, and it took a while, right? It was a buyer's market, right? Because the interest rates are going up, values are going down, sellers are holding their property because they want to get more for them. And so it took a while to find a buyer. We did find a buyer that was interested in the property, and they were able to close the deal. So the property value at that 9 cap, which is a really high cap rate, but it is what it is. At 9 cap was a $6 million value. So we paid the debt off, returned everybody their original capital back. With the refi, we were able to give $1.4 million, $1.5 million bucks in total proceeds back. And so about $1.3 million of equity and cash, which is over 100% return in 3 years in a market that wasn't the best at the time.
How cool is that? That's right. Now, I asked earlier, was there anybody invested in this deal with him?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we had 12 investors.
You guys had a little piece in there, right? Yeah.
We shared a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Were you happy with it? Very.
How many? Yeah, you didn't have to go down there. You just went down for that one time, and that was before we bought it, I think.
And we just were walking it.
Yeah.
I didn't see the prosthetic leg though.
No, that was inside. Yeah, that was.
You didn't see the leg.
That was inside. You had to unwrap the buildings in order to see that. It's presence all around.
Now, who wants to make those kind of returns? Anybody? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. And you can do that as a passive, right?
That's the best way on this project. Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't it be more fun as a passive? I mean, we
I
wouldn't
don't
have
know,
the
man.
stories.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the stories
No, I
for sure.
Cashing that check, so being a passive was great. He did all the work, and I just.
Yeah, being passive's
cashed the
awesome.
check.
Yeah. So Ivan wants to know, is it better to have a low cap rate or a high cap rate?
Oh, it's much better. Okay, great question. It could either way. What do you want it to be?
As a buyer,
So-
you want it high, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because
As a seller, you want it low.
So-
As it compresses, value goes up, and we'll go through that over the weekend.
perfect. Yeah, Chris is going to teach that on the 2-day. The cap rate and the NOI are what's going to affect your value. You can change the NOI, right? That's what you saw, the growth in income there. Cap rate's a little bit market driven, depending on the quality of product, where it's at, that kind of thing. But if you're buying, you're right. You want a high, and if you're selling, you want a low. So you get the most value as a seller at a low cap rate.
Yep. Very good. Well, how did you make your NOI go up so much?
Well, we got worked on occupancy, right? So it's I'm not going to say it's hard to go down, but whenever you're 11%, it's a lot easier to go up. So that
I mean,
was,
you toured it at 17. So
yeah. And
How many of those 11% actually ended up staying?
4.
Oh,
Yeah, 4.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got 4 legacy
Yeah, we
tenants.
did.
They
We
actually qualified, huh?
Yes, they did. And we had a couple that transferred to the remodeled units
Okay.
and paid the normal price, right? Yeah, so only 4 of 11 that stayed throughout the time. Great residents. They appreciated what we were doing. And I liked talking with those guys because they knew where it came from.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So they saw the whole transformation.
That means you put roughly 95 new people in a matter of 18 months.
We had to do that, yeah, and we had a little turnover during that time. If you think about it, I mean, you got a place that's going under construction. People are hammering.
Yeah,
It's
some
not
people just can't
necessarily
handle
the
that.
most enjoyable place to live at that time. Even though your place might be clean and functional, it's loud, it's messy. So we turned some units during that time too. We implemented utility utility billbacks, so RUBs, enforce the lease, late fees, things like that, charge PEP rent. And then we hired a quality on-site team. So, the manager was able to keep it full. The maintenance guy kept the work orders down, try to minimize those expenses, and really drive the NOI up as much as we could, especially during that sale time. Every month we do reports on what the expenses are and the budgets are, and we try to make sure that we're exceeding income, beating expenses, and keeping below our budget variance and whatnot. So just kind of working the business and hiring the right people and providing a decent product that people want to be in. So and that 95% is a good number.
That's a very good number.
Corpus isn't always the easiest place to keep that occupancy up, and the manager did a great job with that. So.
Yep. Excellent. Well, tell us, how's your life changed since you joined?
Yeah, so control over our financial future. So as we're working in a corporation, making great money, no complaints about that, but not really understanding how to invest that properly or how to manage that properly. And so, our net worth grows every year. Our cash flow grows every year. It wouldn't necessarily do that in a corporate job. All the raises and things happen, but to be able to control it yourself, you're not relying on somebody telling you, hey, you need to move to this city next month, or you got to be over in this location here next week and whatnot. We get to pick where we want to be. We spend a lot of time on property, but kind of enjoy that. So we love being able to get out those distributions. We've been lucky enough to have some really great projects and be able to give good distributions on a routine basis. And that helps the passives to be excited. So we like to see that. And
Everybody likes money, right?
Everybody likes money, yeah, especially when cashing it.
Anybody get some money tonight?
Somebody got
Hey,
some.
look at all those hands up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Improving the property for the communities. That's really a big deal. I mean, it's fun to go and make something look a little bit better than it did before. It's fun to be able to make that income go up, the value go up, but it's really fun to be able to see those families enjoying where they're living.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thing. And so we love doing that. And then the network of people, right? So for you guys that hadn't been here for a while, a lot of folks, I've met most of you from here, and we know each other, right? And so we go out to the Pickle and we have a good time. We come here and we share our experiences, and we have that friendship and that network of people, of new people that you wouldn't necessarily meet in your corporate life. You get a diverse group of friends, and it's really end up becoming family, right? So that is a super awesome thing about Lifestyles and the networking and just the community that Lifestyles is. It just is a community, what I mean?
We're very unique. I've had so many
Agreed.
people come up and say, I finally found my people.
Yeah.
All the time. Well, tell us about where you're going. You got some short-term and long-term goals here.
Short term, we just want to try to keep making apartments great again. MAGA. So, continue to improve the processes, improve the quality of the product, improve the returns to investors the best that we can. We want to support members. I love being a mentor. I really do. I love taking the calls. I don't care when you call. I enjoy being helpful. And so, I'm looking forward to continuing to do that and to help you guys on your path. Anything I can share with you, if you know me, that's the way I am. Long term, we want to purchase another property too. We're not we're not trying to be on top. We enjoy what we're doing. We want to do a couple more syndications, and then we're probably going to start working on an IRO portfolio. That's more of a family legacy type thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. Your team?
All right, so Jeff Zickler is my other mentor, and so we talk all the time. Teresa Harrell was really helpful to me on that project as well. Things come up on properties that are, need a little love more than others, and so she was able to help walk us through some things there. And Dodson Legal is a vendor that helps us with all our syndication docs. So,
awesome, cool. All right, excellent job. We got time for questions. I cut you off earlier. You want to ask that question now, or
I
are
have
we
a
way
new
past?
question.
You have a new question. Okay,
Yeah.
go for your question.
Robert, who was your contractor, and can you tell us more about the construction management and complex management?
So we had several different contractors. I kind of served as the GC of it. I've got a project management background, so it wasn't that much of a stretch for me. But HQ Construction was one of our contractors, and then we had some local guys that were there. We had a lot of small contractors that would help us out on site. And then the property management, we have our own property management company. So we only manage properties that we own. We're not out there trying to manage anybody else's properties. And so we just use our own property management company that we staff and run the properties with.
There's a good question up there. Did you hire any wrong people before the right ones?
Oh, yeah. Heck, yeah. Yeah, you got to roll through a few sometimes. You look at a resume and they say the right things, and then whenever they get there, sometimes they maybe not as honest as you thought they were going to be. And so, yeah, absolutely. You just kind of roll with it and go to the next one, roll with it and go to the next one until you find the right person. When you find the right person, you better keep them because, those on-site people make that property. And so it's important that you treat them well and that you can keep those people because they're going to make the property what it is.
Yeah. There's a hand in the room. Yes, Mark?
In a deal like this, it seems like one of the basic main things that's going to make it work is the purchase price. How did you come to the purchase price? Did you make an offer? Was it for sale, or how did you come to the buying price?
The broker.
How'd you find such a cheap property, and how'd you make the purchase price work?
The broker that found this property actually is a lifestyles realtor now, and so it's funny. It's kind of a small industry, but he knew that I would work on properties that maybe weren't the best properties, and so he was trying to match a potential buyer with a property that he knew that was somewhat neglected. I'd already retired at that point. Yeah. Well, I mean,
What's a neglected property look like in your eyes? Is it easier to put the deal together with fewer investors?
not on this deal. Yeah, we had 12. No, there was this one had a lot of potential, and so it wouldn't have been that challenging to bring more investors in. But I was kind of greedy with it too. I knew that it was going to be a great deal, and so I put a lot of my personal money into it. Which, from a passive standpoint, you really want that. You want your lead to have some skin in the game, and we had plenty of it. So,
Got a hand up.
18. Yeah,
18 screws in your leg?
they're all broken. Yeah,
Dang,
every one of them broke.
broken. You shattered that thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did shatter it. Yeah, I got 18, and they're all. Yes. Yep. It was torsional. Yeah. And
Are you in the medical industry? No, I have 13. Oh, you have 13. Hey, buddies.
Hey. Take your time healing up on that thing.
I was in the medical industry.
You
Yeah.
were, yeah?
Paramedic here in San Antonio.
All right.
I got to watch her do that.
Man.
When they
stories you could
when
tell.
they put that plate in there, they told me it was like a stainless plate, and so I thought, heck, man, I just got to work through the pain. And it was important because our kids, I was a Boy Scout leader, and so our kids had 2 years on this waiting to go to Philmont, and I had the qualifications for us to go, and I was the only leader that had certain specific ones. We all kind of split them up, and so if I couldn't go, those kids couldn't go. And so I was a little bit more aggressive than what I should have been, and I shattered all those pins, but we ended up making it, so it turned out okay.
Oh.
But take your time. It hurts sometimes.
Was there a hand over here? Did I see one? Yes, sir.
I was just curious, you said there was 12 investors in that deal?
Correct, yes.
It ties into what Joe was saying. How do you determine when to sell? And you mentioned the word vote.
Oh, yeah.
There's a vote, and if someone put in 400 and someone put 25, how does that all?
Oh, we all get our percentage. So everybody.
You want to repeat the question?
Yeah. So the question was, whenever it came to sell, you had some guys that had a lot more percentage of interest, some less, and how did you come to the conclusion to be able to sell? Well, wasn't overly challenging to get everybody to vote to sell because the returns are really good. And at that time, a lot of things weren't selling. So this gave people a good chance to be able to get that capital and put it into new deals that were coming up later this year or next year when the market has corrected, which I feel like it has. I feel like we're now at a new norm, and now we're going to get back up to those better returns. And so from a percentage standpoint, whatever your capital contribution is your percentage voting right. And so everybody votes based on that. Yeah. Is that helpful? I don't know if I answered that. Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to hear your opinion. So Corpus is an extremely soft market concerning rents and obviously occupancy. I think 2024 was probably one of the softest years concerning rents. I'd be curious to see what were some of your strategies in leasing up those units. I mean, with the properties that
Yeah.
I have experience with, it's tough. It can be tough.
It is tough. I mean, we got members that do really well down there, but sometimes it's a struggle for sure. So it's not the easiest place to operate, without a doubt. We were blessed. Our manager was very successful at keeping it full, and we were higher than, we were top of market, which is kind of interesting because it wasn't like the best micro area. She was just very good at her job, very good at marketing, keeping people in there. And so, like I said, we had the right person in the right place, and she did a tremendous job for us. What was the other part of your question there? No, okay, yeah.
He just doesn't like Corpus. Do you know Corpus? Tad bit? You from there? Or? Yeah? Did you escape?
Where'd you grow up? I'm from Portland. Wildcat? Yeah, GP, man. Absolutely, yeah.
All right, look at that.
There you go.
What class?
95.
How about you? Oh my gosh. That your hair goes.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yes, ma'am.
We planned for it ahead of time.
How'd you get the roofers
Yeah.
to do all that so fast?
Sure, yeah. So we had a good contractor, and we told him when we were going to start. I actually put up a little bit of money ahead of time for him to be able to buy all the material and whatnot, so that it was, it's usually Friday. It was a Friday when we closed, I'm sure it was, because it's always on a Friday.
It's always a Friday.
Yeah, it's always Friday. And I went down and got the 5 keys that the management company had, so I was ready. And
One for each occupied unit, right?
No, I didn't have all of those. Yeah. I didn't even have all of those. And so he was there. We had it planned. He was there on Monday and just started ripping off roofs and getting it done.
What's funny is when you have the work, the people will show up.
Yeah, this is during COVID too.
Especially for roofers. If you need a new roof, put a post on Facebook. Anybody know a roofer? Oh my gosh. The next hours will be just, it'll be wild. Yes, sir.
You mentioned you were your own general contractor. How much time did you spend at site?
More than
As a
we would normally
GC
say.
yourself, how much time did you spend on site? We're simulcast, man. We gotta let them know.
I did. I spent a lot of time on site, but I liked it. Whenever you're finding a prosthetic leg in a unit, you never know what you're going to get. And so it was enjoyable because it was like opening Christmas gifts, but kind of weird. Not really. But what am I going to find in this unit today? And so I was down there all the time. I'd drive back and forth. That was weird. Yeah. It was 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. I'd leave early and get home late. Yeah.
You could drive that with your eyes closed.
I hope I never did, but I can't say for sure. It was a lot of time, but it was fun.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing and giving back.